Communist China imposing sanctions on 9 UK citizens, including 5 British MPs. This comes, of course, after measures taken by the British government on Monday over human rights abuses against the Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. Now, just to show you, first of all, what Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary, said in Parliament, here's the clip.
Having very carefully considered the evidence against the criteria in our global human rights sanctions regime, I can tell the House today that I am designating 4 senior individuals responsible for the violations that have taken place and persist against the Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. Alongside these individuals, we are also designating the Public Security Bureau of the Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps. That's the organisation, Mr. Speaker, responsible for enforcing the repressive security policies across many areas of Xinjiang. The sanctions involve travel bans and asset freezes against the individuals and asset freeze against the entity we're designating. The individuals are barred from entering the UK. Any assets found in the UK will be frozen. We take this action alongside the EU, the US and Canada, who are all taking similar measures today. And I think it's clear that by acting with our partners, 30 of us in total, we are sending the clearest message to the Chinese government that the international community will not turn a blind eye to such serious and systematic violations of basic human rights, and that we will act in concert to hold those responsible to account.
Now, it is both MPs, individuals and groups that are targeted for sanctions by China, including the China Research Group of MPs. And in their response today, here is what the China Research Group had to say. They said, ultimately, this is just an attempt to distract from the international condemnation of Beijing's increasingly grave human rights violations against the Uyghurs. This is a response to the coordinated sanctions agreed by democratic nations on those responsible for human rights abuses in Xinjiang. This is the first time Beijing has targeted elected politicians in the UK with sanctions, and shows they are increasingly pushing boundaries. It's tempting, the China Research Group say, to laugh off this measure as a diplomatic tantrum. But in reality, they say, it is profoundly sinister. Now, these sanctions from China include MPs such as Tom Duganhut, Ian Duncan Smith, Neil O'Brien, Tim Loughton, Nusrat Ghani. And China now saying that as of today, the individuals concerned and their immediate family members are prohibited from entering the mainland. Hong Kong, any property in China will be frozen. Chinese citizens and institutions will be prohibited from doing business with them. And China reserves the right, they say, to take further measures. Also warning the UK to not go down what they described as the wrong path, and saying that they will resolutely make further reactions.
We stand in total solidarity with the 9 individuals that were sanctioned today. It's not going to stop them, or it's not going to stop the British government speaking up about the industrial scale human rights abuses taking place in Xinjiang. If the Chinese government want to continue with these blanket denials that anything wrong is taking place in Xinjiang, the obvious thing for them to do would be to allow access to the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet. As long as they continue to resist and refuse to do so, the international pressure will only continue to grow.
Now, Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, responding to this by saying the MPs and other British citizens sanctioned by China today are performing a vital role in shining a light on the gross human rights violations being perpetrated against the Uyghur Muslims. Freedom to speak out in opposition to abuse is fundamental, and I stand firmly with them. Of course, some of those MPs sanctioned today have been speaking out about this. Here, first of all, is Tom Tugendhat.
Look, I was elected to speak for the people of Tunbridge and Morning in the recent election. I was elected to chair the Foreign Affairs Committee by the whole House of Commons, opposition and government MPs alike. And so I view this as a direct assault on British democracy and an attempt to silence the British people have chosen to speak for them. If that isn't an assault on the British sovereignty, I don't know what is.
Former Conservative Party leader Ian Duncan Smith also facing sanctions from China. Here was his response today.
Well, it didn't surprise me, to be quite frank with you. The government put Magnitsky sanctions on those who they believed had been involved in the terrible abuses in Xinjiang amongst the Uyghur. I mean, we are literally, I believe, seeing genocide take place there as they attempt to sort of exterminate a whole ethnic group. But having done that, the Chinese were bound to retaliate. They've retaliated against European politicians, and we knew that it was going to happen here. But obviously, as far as I'm concerned, I intend to continue to speak out. Many of my colleagues have spoken out. We've had attempts to silence us by the Chinese already, and we will do again. As I said earlier on in one of my statements, speaking out for the Uyghur people and others who have no voice at the moment is a badge of honor for us, considering what they're going through.
So there you are, guys. As the China Research Group have noted, this is the first time Beijing has targeted elected politicians in the UK. What do you make of this action from China? Do let me know in the comments below, guys. And as ever, if you enjoyed this video, please do give this video a big thumbs up, and make sure, and if you want to support my work on the channel, do hit the join button down below. And of course, guys, as ever, thanks so much for watching.